Wednesday host, coming to you on Thursday, probably early in the morning. The topic this week is why transition? Why do we do that to ourselves? What are we thinking? And it's a pretty hard topic. There's a really short answer. It's a really easy answer. We transition because we have to. We have no other choice. We've exhausted every other possibility. And so we tried the one thing that's left. That's the easy answer. The truth is, sometimes we transition because we give up. We fought with ourselves since we were kids. In my case, my memories go back to when I was 5 and 4. And not a year goes by where I can't remember some things that were out of place, that weren't as they should have been for a boy. That doesn't mean that I knew that I was trans, that I knew that I was a girl. But there were things that were out of place. There was a discomfort, a dysphoria that was present from my earliest memories, possibly my earliest memory. And it was present to the day I was married, to the day that she said she wanted a divorce. It never left, and it probably never will. And at this point, I don't know that I would want it to. I fought against myself my entire life, from age 5 to age 38. At some point, you give up. Yeah, you can say, I had no other choice. But you do. I mean, there's 2 other choices besides transitioning. I mean, you could continue to live with it, continue to be at odds with yourself, or you can kill yourself. The truth is, I actually tried to kill myself. It was partly related to this. It was partly related to other issues that were going on in my marriage. But I was sure that I didn't want to keep going. I gave up. And that lasted 3 days in a mental hospital, of some time to just think through things. And occasionally that thinking has come up since, but never as seriously as that time. Nothing that a walk couldn't cure, or having a friend nearby couldn't help me with. And there have been friends who've been there for me when I needed someone. There's days where it's really hard, where things seem like they could get no worse. And then they get worse. But eventually, it gets better. I had thought early on that it would go away. I didn't tell anyone, no one, anything at all. And probably wouldn't have until I got caught. I didn't get caught until I was 20. At that point in time, I was engaged to get married. And I thought that marriage was going to cure me, but marriage never did. I did the honest thing when I got caught. I tried to do the honest thing. I confessed, yes, I'd done this thing. I'd done this cross-dressing at that time. That's what I had done. It had been going on for a while, but it was just sort of something that happened a few times here and there, and, marriage was going to fix it. But marriage didn't fix it. Marriage couldn't fix me because I'm not broken. But getting myself to believe that, the whole world is lined up telling you that you're broken and something's wrong with you. So how do you get to the point where you can accept yourself? Well, you break. Pretty much. And at that point, do you have a choice? The narrative is we have no choice, and that's why we transition. And that's pretty true. There's a lot of truth in that. I came to my wife in 2004, and I told her at that time that I was trans. I told her in an email because I was staying up all night. I wasn't able to sleep. I had thought about it. I had decided I was indeed transsexual and that I needed to tell her and get it off my chest. And I told her. And in that email I told her things such as, we've been talking about this for a long time. When we're intimate, I feel like I'm female. The research shows that a person can't change their brain. They can't change their gender. And another thing it said was, I want you to be part of my life and to come along with me on this journey. But if you can't, then I'll go to counseling and I'll try to suppress it. And so from 2004 until 2009, when I attempted to kill myself, I tried to suppress it. It didn't work. It didn't work even a little. I faked it, but it didn't work. I tried to be happy with it, but I was never at peace with myself. So I told my mom earlier this year, was going through a hard time right about the time I was going to do my name change. My father refused to assist in the name change, so I had to advertise it in the paper. It cost me more money, took more time, was much more outward facing. The whole community gets notification in the paper. Not what I really wanted to do, and I was very hurt and upset. And, I told my mom at that time, in tears, bawling. And through those tears, I told her that I had to transition. I didn't have a choice. I did it because I had to make peace with myself. I knew that it would not leave me at peace with the world, and that I had that choice. I had to decide, do I be at peace with myself, or do I be at peace with the world? And I chose for internal peace. And that choice has cost me dearly. It's cost me my wife. It's affected my relationship with my parents, with my sister, with a number of friends. There's a lot of people who just don't like me because I'm trans. Not because I've done anything to hurt anyone. Because I've done everything I can to be as good of a person as I can be. It's not to say I've been perfect. I've made mistakes. Everybody does. But I've always tried to make amends. I've been living as virtuous a life as is humanly possible. And yet, because I'm trans, some people hate me. In fact, some people hate me so much that if somebody was to remain my friend, they're no longer friends with that person. I had friends who lost friends because they remained my friend. That's ridiculous. That level of hostility is ridiculous. But that's the fact of my life. It's just one of the facts, and it's going to be the facts of your life if you haven't transitioned. There are people that will hate you. And there are people that don't care at all. They'll see you just as they did before. There are people who will struggle with what you do, with being you. It'll challenge, it'll blow their minds. It's going to happen. But you've got to transition to be yourself. To make that peace with yourself. If you get to the point where you can't continue going on without transitioning, then don't be afraid to transition. I had so much guilt and shame, and that's why I got to the point where I wanted to die. I felt like a complete failure, that I had abandoned and hurt my children, and I was just going to hurt them more, and that it would never get better, that they were going to hate me. Well, that didn't happen. Why did I feel that way? Why did I make myself go through that? I guess I listened to society. I guess I believed it. But it's no way to live. All that pain, all that struggle, all that time wasted. Precious time. We don't live forever. And now I'm 38. I'm morbidly obese because who cares about your body when you can't be yourself? And now that I can be myself, it's really hard to change habits. It's really hard. I've actually lost a lot of weight since I started transitioning, but I hated myself. I made myself pay. And you don't have to do that. Why not transition? Maybe that's where we should be focusing this week. Why not? If you know who you are, if you know you're trans, you're going to have to transition, or the day will come when you can't live with yourself anymore. You can't tell a lie forever. You can't put on a mask forever. The mask gets to be a burden. I hid it as best I could. for more than 30 years. You know, from the time that I first had memories onward. Yeah, you can hide it. You can hide it for a long time. I mean, I have friends that are transitioning in their 60s. You know, the day will come when you can't hide it anymore. Why waste the best part of your life living a lie? You know, some people say that we lie by transitioning. You know, I know that's not true. Maybe they feel like I'm lying about who I am, but, you know, the reality, I've revealed a great, deep truth about myself, a truth that's present throughout all of my life, that's just buried under the surface, and I uncovered it, and I shared it with everyone in the world. That's honesty. That's respectable. Lying about who I am, hiding who I am, I wasn't the type of person that I expected my kids to be. I wasn't the type of person that I wanted to be. You know, if you could change yourself, if there was a magic bullet, a potion that you could take that would change who you are, I would have taken it. But there is no magic bullet, there is no potion. You're going to transition because you have to. If you don't have to, if you think you have a choice, don't transition. Why bother? But if you know that you're trans and you're hiding in a closet and it's hurting you, don't be afraid. You will find that there are far more people than you expect that will accept you. You will find that you can pass more than you ever thought you could. You know, I went to the hospital with my daughter today for some blood work. And, you know, she sat down in the chair and I stood across the room, and the person came in to take the blood, and, you know, we talked about how my daughter was very afraid of getting the blood drawn. And, you know, there was a conversation that went on, and she turned to my daughter and she says, you know, if you want, your mom can come over here and hold your hand. She accepted me as female. Despite the fact that my voice sounds like a man's voice, despite the fact that I'm, you know, 6'5" and, you know, receding hairline, you know, some stubble on my face that's visible if you're looking close enough. You know, despite all that, she accepted me at face value. And I never would have thought that that would happen. And yet I think it happens far more than I ever even am aware of. You know, sometimes things happen where they say things like that. And by the way, with that person, I corrected them. I said, I am not their mother, I'm their father. I said that because my wife, although I'm getting divorced, she's still my wife, is their mother. And she earned that title. I've asked the kids in public not to call me dad, but in private they call me dad, most of the time. I borrowed a name for the public from a friend of mine, and it actually is mother, but it's mother in Hebrew. you're going to transition if you transition and you haven't made peace with it yet. When you do, you'll be surprised. More people will accept you than you would have expected, but not as many as you might hope. And that's always the case. There's always some people that you really hoped would be able to accept you, and they won't be able to. There's some people that won't be able to at first, but will in the end. So don't write off everybody right away, or really ever. Don't give up on them. If they care about you, they'll find a way. And if they don't care about you, write them off, because they don't care about you. You know, I cared so much about whether or not people could accept me, could like me. If you don't care about me, why should I care about you? You know, you're my neighbor. I'm gonna love you. But, you know, if you've got no love for me and you don't want me to be part of your life, have at it. It's your life. So, anyway, this video is running incredibly long. So, there's very few pictures for this week, but I'll throw a couple here right after this. And otherwise, have a great week, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.